Hey there, welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, where we're expanding the natural family planning conversation. I'm your host, Ellen Holloway. In this episode, I am joined by Anne-Marie and Alex, and they share their story of temporary infertility, and particularly how fertility awareness, natural family planning, and their NAPRO doctor helped them to eventually achieve a pregnancy. This is the first episode in our Advent series for 2020. This is how NFP brings hope. So I hope that this story helps you to see how NFP can bring hope to you and your marriage if you are struggling with something similar, or if someone you know is struggling with something similar. Let's get started. All right, we are welcoming Anne-Marie and Alex to the podcast. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Could you start by sharing a little bit of your NFP story with us?
Sure. We are kind of a sort of an anomaly because we actually trying to have a baby. So when you think of NFP, typically you think about, how to like family plan and, space things out or,
right. How to avoid the pregnancy, not the whole like achieving the pregnancy side of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we had sort of a different route, but we ended up getting married and deciding that we wanted to have kids pretty quickly. And, it wasn't necessarily working out in sort of the, first like 6 months when they typically say, or well, I guess they say like a year, but in the first like 6 months or so, we were kind of like, okay, maybe something's going on. So, I went to the doctor and kind of found out I had like a thyroid problem, but then, got on some medication and kind of wasn't working out as well as we'd liked it or would have liked it to work out. So basically I went to an OBGYN that, she was a NAPRO OBGYN. She sort of specialized in helping women learn how to chart and, sort of like see their cycles in a different way. And that was really the first time I'd ever ever looked at a chart or thought about it at all. And learned I had some, underlying health issues. So our NFP experience was like about 2.5 year journey, really, because it went from really looking at a very messed up chart to, ultimately a really predictable one. And, poor Alex really had to learn like way more than he ever thought he would have to learn about, for all things fertility and, female health and all of that. So really finding that NAPRO OB was really key. And so then, once my chart got sort of figured out and all the health issues, the Hashimoto's and the GI issues that I had, they were a really large part of, our NFP experience. As my health improved and as we sort of talked about it and Alex had helped me out a lot because, I had to, sort of cry and explain these things. And, it just like, it really made me appreciate NFP a lot more because I sort of had a sense of like, okay, this is when it can happen. And this is how like we can talk about it more than just like by chance this happened. You know what I mean? It made me look at it differently.
Definitely. Anyway, yeah.
My chart got figured out and my health improved and I ended up actually going to a NAPRO surgeon to help me because I actually had like an anatomical issue as well. But anyway, after my surgery, I basically, we got pregnant about a month and a half later. So
wow, that's incredible.
Kind of crazy story.
So this was like a 2.5 year process, basically. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I mean,
it felt like 20.
It felt like a lot longer, but basically, it was about 2.5 years. And it took a little while to get, the surgery once my doctor said, hey, your cycle's like perfect. You should be pregnant now. Um, I need you to go see the surgeon because I think we've, really exhausted not all of our options, but like, this has got to be it because your cycle is like so on par.
Yeah.
That the surgery is likely necessary.
It's so incredible what a chart can really tell you too, because you kind of had two separate things going on. You had some health issues that your doctor was able to help you through with different diet changes and whatever that was, and then once you could see that the chart looked fine and then those health issues were mitigated, it's like, okay, there's still something wrong here. And so that it's just incredible. I'm just excited about how great NFP is.
Yeah. Well, and like, there's so much more to like, charting as well. Like, I think, even though like all those underlying health issues that I had, I was like, obviously living with them for a while. Like I kind of got used to living like that and not knowing that, maybe my cycle was like, a lot more crazy because I had a lot more inflammation or, like if I could make, like you said, I made a lot of dietary changes that ultimately made for, a lot easier cycles, physically. I felt like even my symptoms of like, I don't know, like even PMS, like even improved. I think Alex got to know so much more about this just based off of like, my rambling, but also like, I think, he could tell that maybe I wasn't like as emotional sometimes. I mean, I was always emotional when it came to be, the time period, but I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I have so much, control in some ways over what my cycle looks like and, how to perfect it.
Right. Well, I love what you mentioned. We're going a little bit off of like our specific topic, but
Yeah.
What you mentioned just about your diet being able to make your cycle more manageable. Like I've noticed that I personally just like made some changes and started supplementing certain things that I was kind of low on, and all of a sudden, like things are so much better. And it's like, wow, how did that even happen?
Right. Yeah. And then, and then you do optimize fertility that way. So, again, it's like in our case, we weren't necessarily, like some people who automatically like tend to say like, we need to learn NFP because we need to figure out like how to, take a break for a second or like make sure we have this like, accurate form of, like, I don't want to say birth control, but you know what I mean? Like we've got
spacing pregnancies and yeah.
Yeah. And we were like, okay, obviously like we want to get pregnant, but like, wow, we really know like this is a good cycle, it could happen. You know what I mean?
Right. So Alex, how does it feel to be like so in tune with your wife's fertility and cycle?
Well, I mean, I'm used to it now. At first, it was a little awkward going to some of these doctor's appointments and talking about some stuff that, it was just weird at first because I didn't know anything about cycles or, just I thought they were 30 days and like, I had a very basic knowledge of what that was. But pretty quickly because, the issue was affecting our life and our goals and what we wanted to do, it made sense to learn as much as I could and support Anne-Marie as much as I could so that we could do that together. And so it's good. I mean, I know more about female cycles than I probably thought I ever would. And I put more stickers on the chart and, tried to help out as much as I could. I just tried to support Anne-Marie because, having a baby is something we both really wanted. But it's not being able to have that was much harder for Anne-Marie. And I'm sure it is for every woman because, it's your body. And I think I'll speak for Anne-Marie, but I know she felt like a responsibility or a guilt for, something being quote unquote wrong or it not working out. So the whole NFP process was nice because it was something that we could do and work on and see results. And sort of it helped us to eliminate, potential problems and sort of narrow down what we needed to do and how we needed to get there. I think it can be kind of isolating, because you're both feeling different things. And so anyways, it was, it's good. I'm glad I learned all that stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of the things you said made me think like, while it was such a long process, isn't it beautiful that the way that God designed the human or the female body to carry a baby is that first that female body needs to be healthy. And that's like the most important thing. And then second, that female body can get pregnant. And so, how beautiful that God cares about us that much.
Yeah. Because I always think, gosh, if I was that, it is sort of a stressful thing not to be able to have a baby when you would like to, and then like have it, continue on for like a year, another year, but I think like it obviously, well, I hope it does, but makes you a better mother physically and then, like practically, because you're able to like give this advice about how to take care of yourself. You're able to physically be there for your child and carry your child. And hopefully down the road we can have more children, and it sort of sets you up for success there, because you're able to like gear your body and like recognize things about your body too that maybe you need to improve on, or yeah,
absolutely.
Always more awareness.
Yeah. So what would you say has been your biggest struggle through this journey, either like with natural family planning itself or just with this whole journey that you've had over the past couple of years?
Well, mine, I felt, I guess the biggest struggle, ultimately, it wasn't having the baby. Right. But, I think for me, it was really hard to eliminate the stress associated with it. And I think as a mom and as someone that's like trying to, like when you're using NFP, you're using it so like you can be, like a good spouse, a good mom, like a more aware, woman, but all those things are so tied together. And for me, I think I struggled to understand like why this was happening, and also to be okay with it at the same time, and to learn to manage stress. I think we have to do it, we have to reevaluate all the time. And especially as mom, you're constantly having to put yourself, in check and say, okay, does this really matter? Is this really worth losing sleep over? Sometimes you literally are worth like losing sleep. But I knew during that struggle, like that this would be a reoccurring theme in my life. And so, and I knew I never wanted to be a really stressed out mom. I knew that wasn't something, that I wanted. So I think the biggest hurdle for me was really overcoming that sort of anxiety that plagued like all of the, things having to do with getting pregnant, but also realizing like, okay, if this isn't part of God's plan right this second, maybe I do need to learn to work on myself. And maybe I do need to learn to be able to like, trust him more in this process. And that was something that Alex was really just instrumental in helping me accomplish. It's still a work in progress always, but I think
always.
That
So Alex, what would you say was your biggest struggle through this journey?
Probably just trying to, well, like Emery said, I've known from the day that we got married that we were going to be parents, and I was really open to, adopting if we needed to do that, or I just felt like, it was going to happen, and I wanted to try and help Anne-Marie stay calm and, have a good perspective on it, which was understandably really hard for her. And so I'd say the hardest thing for me was just making sure that, I don't know, I got frustrated a lot. And so trying to be supportive and empathetic, because it's not really my strong suit. So just making an effort to try and understand what she was going through and where she was coming from and how that was different from me and how I was looking at it. And I don't know, just trying to work together on it. And I think just support Anne-Marie and be part of the process with her.
Even when he didn't want to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did some crazy diets and I'm not going to lie, I cheated a few times, like at lunch at work, but I always ate what she was eating at home.
Insanity.
But
he was such a good team player, but I was like, it's okay. You can have gluten. You should really have it. It's way better. It's way better than this like fake bread I'm eating.
Yeah. The rice bread or like whatever.
Right. I'm like, the other one looks like hard and that one looks really doughy. You should probably eat that one. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was, anyway, I'll let you continue, but I really appreciated it. I know it was really hard for him to kind of like always be the strong one in it, because I was just, no matter what, more emotional about it. I'd have like my good days where I'm like, all right, I'm going to overcome this. It's going to be okay. And then inevitably you get your period and you're like, like, this is not what I wanted. This is not what we wanted. This is not, it's hard to have hope in those situations, but then like you start over and then you reevaluate together and really, certainly strengthened our marriage. I know.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So during that journey, what are some of the ways that you found hope or brought hope to each other through this?
I think, a few things. I think over time, having the support of Alex was what kind of kept me, like hopeful, and, obviously made me feel like very loved and kind of reminded me that like, okay, you're probably having days where you're just going to be like, kind of like down the dumps about it or frustrated, but like, look, we're doing everything right. We're following, the cycle, like take a chill pill kind of thing. So his ability to kind of like help me out was really helpful. And then, I think just the spiritual part of it was also so instrumental, because I know there were, so many people praying for us. I mean, even today, people will say, oh yeah, we were praying for you, and now we have this, beautiful baby. And I think together we probably said like at least 20 novenas together, but we really learned how to like pray together, even if, it was kind of awkward at first, but because of having sort of this, quote unquote hard, it really brought us together in a spiritual way that I think, sort of set the tone for our marriage in general. So, and then just, like, I think we decided like, oh, like sometimes let's just like have fun, like we went to Mexico for, I don't know, 5 days I don't even remember if we said it was for my birthday, but enjoyed some of the parts that were going to be harder when, we eventually were parents. I think those things kind of took my mind off of it, or allowed me to, not like focus on like what I didn't have, but instead enjoy what I did.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is not only did you find hope, in the system of NFP and in your doctor, saying, here's what you need to change, here's how we can make you healthier. But also just that hope, in trusting God and in that prayer together. And that's just awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and like, there's something, I just feel like it was such it was so important that we found an NFP doctor as well, because like you go to your doctor and you have, whatever it is, 15 minutes, maybe more, maybe less, but like they just get this like really small insight into your life, and you want to go there with like here's my whole life story and why am I not getting pregnant? And like, can you help me out? And I've had my period for 15 years, but like all these things, but they've got such a small portion of time to evaluate everything you're saying and figuring out in that small portion of time, like what it is, it's going to be very matter of fact to help your cause. And so we had to go to our doctor with like very, specific things in order for her to get this like glimpse into our, whatever the last 60 days. And it was, without NFP, I don't think it would have been pinpointed as well, or it could have taken longer or out. And,
right. There's such a fruit in knowing your body and knowing your cycle, and being able to actually just go to your healthcare practitioner. Like if, I don't know, as an example, like if you're suddenly seeing your luteal phase like is shortening, for sure you've probably got a progesterone issue, and you can go into your doctor and say, hey, I want to get these specific labs and I want to check these levels. But in a non-NFP case, if you're not using fertility awareness to chart your cycle, then you wouldn't know you may even not know that there is an issue.
Yeah. And you couldn't be so matter of fact. It's like your doctor would be like, well, why'd you, it's like you're actually having a real conversation at that point when you're able to kind of be more informed,
Exactly. That's awesome. So to kind of wrap us up here, do you guys have what ideas or tips do you have for someone who might be struggling to find hope? Say one of our listeners is in a really similar situation, or maybe it's a completely different situation, but they're struggling to find hope in their life or in their struggle with natural family planning. What tips do you have for that?
Well, something that I think we always sort of came back to was, well, we both, obviously our whole story is all about wanting to have a baby, right? And that's what we wanted. And I think a big realization that we both had, and that we both knew, but it's hard to see when you're in the middle of something like that, is that what we want really isn't the most important thing. And that, we got married, to love each other and help each other get to heaven, and to be the best, be as good as we could be as a married couple. And having a baby is awesome, and we're really happy that we do now, but that's not, it's one of the reasons we got married, but it's not the main reason. So like trying to remember that our relationship and our marriage is really important too. And so trying to not let whatever issue you're having with NFP, whether it's wanting a baby or having too many babies, whatever the issue is, just remembering that it's not the end all be all, and God's plan is always better and more insightful than anything we can predict, and so I think that was probably one of the big, and then, like Emery said, praying together and trying to make sure that, we're on the same page spiritually and supporting each other that way. Looking back on it, this whole experience was really hard, and part of me wishes we didn't have to go through it. But it really did make our marriage better, make our relationship better. It made our relationship with God better. And it gave us a new perspective now that we have Madeline. It's, we know what the other side of that is like. And so hopefully we can help some people and, just enjoy what God has given us.
Yeah. And also enjoying your marriage. I think that's another, I don't know. There were so many, I think I said it earlier, there were so many times where I was like, I don't have this, and it was like such a good thing to have, but I have all this knowledge now about, my body, and also how to be grateful for the things I do have and the things I don't have. I'm so much more grateful now too, I think, because I realized wow, you are just so blessed with this amazing, husband, and now this family and this little baby. It's like I think maybe just learning how to talk to each other in the way that each other needs to be talked to sometimes, Alex said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I didn't really like talk about all the different things I went through. So certainly if anyone else listening to this has any health issues that they're working through, I'm like pretty much positive I've Googled every single thing or like read every resource possible, but all of it passes in some way too. And it's not so bad. So yeah.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. Those are probably the best things I can come up with.
Practical advice for the guys is go to the appointments with your wife.
Yeah.
If you can.
Oh, and for girls, when you do get your period, like either have a glass of wine or just like go out with your friends, do something like that, because you can, go on a run, like do all the things that like maybe you thought you wouldn't be able to do right after that, but
yeah,
basic things.
Absolutely. I think something that came up like probably 20 times in your whole conversation was how much of a team you were through this. And I think that is absolutely one of the most important things, is having the support of your spouse through this. On both sides, you both needed each other. And the fact that Alex, you really stepped up and, learned everything that you could learn is so helpful. And if any spouses are, husbands are listening to this and are like, oh, I don't actually know all that much about the charting thing, please learn for the sake of your wife, because it really helps when the husband is, knows what's going on and understands what certain things mean, especially when it starts getting hard.
Yeah.
Well, don't make me sound too great, because I rolled my eyes and plenty of times when she was talking about mucus again or some new supplement or so, but just try your best to help out.
And that's all we can do, right? No one's perfect, but
it was appreciated for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Anne-Marie and Alex, thank you so much for sharing your story, being so open and vulnerable.
No, thanks for asking us to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed Alex and Anne-Marie's story. As a reminder, this is the first episode of our 4-week Advent series, so there will be an episode next week. You only have to wait 7 days instead of 14 as you normally do. And the next episode is about making peace with NFP. I think this is something a lot of us have struggled with or are currently struggling with, so be sure to check that out next week.